I remember when you were working on Adjustment Bureau, and we were in New York, and it was sort of a half social event and half script notes meeting.
Yeah.
And I could see the position you were in, which is you had the writer on one side, you had the actors on the other side who had a lot of control over the writing, and you had a director who was also the writer, and you were sort of smack dab in the middle. And I just wonder if people understand the complexity of that position sometimes to be in.
Well, it's very hard. I mean, that's a great one just because there were the different leverages that are going on in the conversation. I think that, writer-director is also always fascinating because they have such a love and an understanding of the material before they come into it. It's equally as fascinating, but for the inverse reason, when you bring a director to a script, because they then see it the way they see it, and they want to do it that way. And I think with the actors, they ultimately make it real. Like a director once said to me, he said, they're little saviors. Actors are saviors, right? Like if you let them embody a character and create a real character, you can almost get away with anything in the movie. And I think Adjustment Bureau is an interesting example because the director had a very specific idea of who he wanted for the Emily Blunt part. And Emily wasn't his sort of envisionment when he was writing it. But he wanted a dancer, and he thought there may be not, more Latin American, or like he had a real vision because he'd written the script and he had this picture and he had this idea in his head. And so there was this process of sort of working in, because Emily came in, she was awesome. She came in, did an audition, she was a genius. And she was really honest there. She said, look, I'm gonna have to train and I'm gonna have to look, I haven't been dancing since I was 5, and I'm not, but she's like, I love this part, and she and Matt were awesome together. And in my opinion, their relationship, the relationship created by Matt and his character and Emily and her character, make that movie much deeper in some ways than it ever would have been, because it's also about a larger thing and about a higher power and about this whole sci-fi sort of concept. But they are so good. But that conversation of trying to not feel like the director or anything was forced on him. And he loved Emily in the auditions, right? I don't want to sit here and pretend that I wasn't the only one who sat there auditioning and go, holy shit, this girl's awesome. But that's a story of like where a creative producer, where you're in the conversation saying, not only from my opinion is she awesome, right? But I think there's real value to the story, and there's real value to the selling of it and all that other stuff, and try to get him out of this very small particular X that they had designed for who was going to be that part.